Put it in there. This meeting is being live streamed. My dad would joke that he needs to pass a perfume. He would definitely make that joke. All right. So just 1 second. All right. Okay, so good morning, everyone, to this beautiful, blessed Sunday that we are gathered in Jesus' name for us to congregate, for us to share, to receive, and to give love in this beautiful opportunity that we had just to be alive with new 24 hours for us, right? So before we start, I would like to ask someone to do our opening prayer. I don't know, Kathy, do you want to do our opening?
No.
One of these days.
Okay, do we have a volunteer? Do we have someone that wants to do the opening prayer today?
Well,
I can do it.
Awesome. Thank you, sister.
Good. All right. So let us close our eyes, our physical eyes, while we envision our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual eyes to open up wide, linking ourselves first with our grounding cord to our mother, Mother Earth. Our feet are firmly grounded, feeling the ground beneath us. Our toes are wiggling. And we're going to say, hello, dear Mother Earth, and thank you. And now, let us connect for a moment with our breath. And let us feel deep inhales in our belly region, envisioning God's love and light to wash through us, cleansing and purifying us during the inhale. And then during the profound exhale, we're consciously releasing all darkness, all heaviness, all fears and anger. And we're releasing them into Mother Earth, who in her beautiful capacity will lovingly transmute them for us into love and nourishment. And as we continue taking deep, cleansing, purifying inhales and releasing exhales, we're now moving up to our minds, to our crown chakra, to our upper chakras, and we're going to say, hello, dear God. God, thank you for creating this loving, harmonious, beautiful universe just for us and all the other beings to dwell in and learn lessons, to purify and grow. Thank you for your love, for your mercy, for your wisdom, for your perfection. And thank you for sending Jesus our way. And we're saying, hello, dear Jesus, our guide and model, who so lovingly and perfectly walked the earth before us, showing us of how to become more God-centered in every step and breath of the way. Thank you for giving us the Beatitudes. Thank you for reminding us of humility. Thank you for modeling to us charity, particularly the moral charity, which consists of goodwill towards all, indulgence towards all imperfections, and forgiveness of all offenses. And let us also say hello with an open heart and open mind and gratitude to the healing doctors and the spirits on high, our mentors, the mentors of this group, who are present today, helping us to harmonize each other with each other and themselves, to elevate our thoughts and open our hearts. Thank you for allowing us to gather, to learn new lessons, and to learn to assimilate them into our daily practice. And we ask that we, as a group of incarnates and discarnates, have an open heart and mind to each other. So we see each other filled with loving eyes. with tolerance and acceptance. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity to practice love. And with this, and we also ask that our dear sister will be assisted in her talk today, Deborah, who will be sharing new lessons for us. And with this, we so humbly ask for permission to begin our meeting for today. Thank you, and so be it.
Thanks, Sunshine.
Beautiful. Thank you, sister. Thank you very much. All right, so welcome everybody. We are Bezerra Spiritual Healing Center. We respect all religions and all spiritual traditions. We are part of the United States Spiritist Federation. So all our beliefs are around scientific, philosophical, and religious principles of Spiritism. So what we do is every Sunday we get together so we can always study a little bit more about how Allan Kardec and other spirits decodified Spiritism for us. You will see that this service is split into two parts, and this is also part of what we learned also from Emmanuel, the spirit mentor from Chico Xavier, that taught us that the spiritual awakening happens with two wings. One is the knowledge, and that's why we have this study, this first part with it, which is study, and then the second wing for this spiritual awakening is really to the service, is the work, is the charity, and everything that we put in practice after we study. So during the speech, which is going to be our first part, please make sure that you are actively listening. So be in tune with your mentor, because your mentor will already suggest you some reflections for you along this week, so then you can work on your own path. And to support you in this path, we have the second part of the service, which is a hands-on healing, where we will be actively also receiving magnetic energy from our mentors and the healing doctors to give us support for us to keep moving forward. So there's two important parts that will keep going along the week. In terms of announcements, we have services and classes every single day, so you can count with our support every single day. So it starts with daily prayer. We know that St. Francis of Assisi told us that it is in giving that we receive. So there is an invitation here for you to join efforts for us to emanate vibrations of love and healing for planet Earth, which we know that is in desperate need. So every day from Monday to Friday, we meet at 6 p.m. It's a 15-20 minutes prayer. We do a good vibration together. On Saturdays, this prayer happens at 11:30 a.m. And then on Sundays, we are here. It is in this Zoom link, so everybody's welcome to join us. We also have fraternal counseling. So if you ever want to just vent or to share a little bit of what's going on in your life, if you're searching for some guidance, or really if you're just looking for someone to pray with you, we have this fraternal counseling. It is individual, and you have to schedule your time just to make sure that one medium from BSH is going to be with you. But it's usually from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. You can either send us an appointment request to info@bshcenter.org, or you can reach out to anyone here, myself, Regina, Sunshine, whoever, and say, hey, I'm looking for an appointment, and we'll be with you. We also have classes. So we started in March a beautiful journey with Sunshine and Divine Light Spiritist Center to work on inner transformation. And also Emmanuel, in the book Thought and Life, told us that evolution demands that we develop new habits, that we detach ourselves from lower forms and walk towards higher stages of existence. And we all know that detaching old habits, it's definitely not an easy path. So this is another invitation for us to join hearts and forces so then we can understand how the high spirituality helps us to succeed in this journey. So this class, as I mentioned to you, is an offering in collaboration with Divine Light. And this is every first and third Tuesdays of the month from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific time. And if you want to join us every second and fourth Sunday of month, Tuesday, the same time, we always get together at Divine Light for the study of Jesus. No, it's not Jesus in the Home now, it's Light Ahead. Light Ahead, right? Light Ahead. We just started. It's an amazing book, great discussions. Everybody's welcome to join. I will post here the Divine Light link, Zoom link. Everybody's welcome to join. We also have the Spirits Book study group. So for those who are not familiar, the first book that Allan Kardec series wrote was a book with more than 1,000 questions for the spirits on high, for us to understand better about Spiritism. And this is a book with all the answers that were collected. We go question by question every Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 with our sister Duska. And also is an amazing discussion. We learn a lot and everybody's welcome to join us. Right after this study on Thursday, we continue with the book Happy Life. It's a small one, but so deep book. This book was written by Joana de Angelis through Divaldo Franco with very amazing and valuable lessons. So this is a shortened meeting, and it's also amazing because we have a great discussion and everybody's welcome to join us. Happy Life through Divine Light. I'll also post in the link. We have a Spiritism for the Youth that is almost coming into an end, but it's every second and fourth Sunday of each month from 8:30 to 9:30, right before the service. We have our brother Brian giving this service, and then when Brian is not available, we also have our brother Robbie filling us with the amazing, beautiful ways to bring Jesus to our next generation. So thank you very much for what you guys do. It's really beautiful. And we also have every Sunday the Spirit's teachings of the Gospel according to Spiritism. So today we will learn a little bit more about the Gospel according to the Spiritism, but you will see that there is always a section where we have explanation from the Spirit, the high spirituality for us. And this class, I mean, it's not a class, it's a gathering, right? But this gathering is really about going through these teachings. So let's understand the gospel with the lens of the high spirituality. This is every Sunday at 6 p.m. Through Divine Light social media. So YouTube, Facebook, and you can also find on BSH, YouTube, and Facebook. So I will make sure to post all the links so then nobody ever forget anything. But if you forget, you can go to bshcenter.org.com and all the links should be in there. All right, and I promise I will stop talking and introduce to our sister Deborah. For those who still don't know our sister Deborah, she has been studying Spiritism for more than 10 years and is a member of Brazilian Spiritual Healing Center since 2016. We are blessed to have you with us, sister, for such a long time. Deborah was born in Brazil and she moved to US 6 years ago. She is the mother of the cutest guy and is a nutrition professor at Folsom Lake College. In her spare time, she enjoys outdoor activities with her family, and it's an amazing friend. Today, our sister Deborah will talk to us about Introduction to the Gospel. Why should we study it? So help me to welcome our sister Deborah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. First, I'd like to say thank you, Sunshine, for the beautiful prayer. It was amazing. And I'm gonna share my screen here. Give me a moment, give me a second. Can you all see my screen? Can you all hear me well? Yep. Oh, thank you. Let me decrease here. Cool. So as our sister, our amazing sister Kiki said, we'll be talking about introduction to the gospel and why should we study it? And I feel like now I always have a disclaimer before I start, but it's part of life. And it's funny because I really hate introductions of any type of book. And I just jump to chapter 1. And it's like automatically, it's like I start introduction, like, nah, chapter 1. And then I keep reading any type of book. And this, okay, it's unashamed, but this is the first time that I read the introduction. Okay, yeah, I know, you're like, oh, what? Yes. So to me, it's like my mentor saying, oh, you don't like introductions? Oh, okay, sure. I'm gonna talk to Kiki about that. And she scheduled me to talk about introduction. So thank you, sister. It was amazing to finally read the introduction and be able to go through and not just read, because sometimes if you're not representing, you might just read, and not really dedicate and study it. So I had to go deeper. So it was amazing. So thank you. I know my mentor talked to you for sure. It's like no coincidence on this one. So let's begin. Oh, not working. Okay, so we'll begin with the objective of this work. So most gospels are divided in five parts. So the ordinary events in Jesus' life, the miracles that he performed, the prophecies, the words served for establishing the dogmas of the church, and also the moral teachings. And these first four parts, have been up to discussion a lot. So did Jesus was black or white? Did Jesus fell in love with someone or not? Did Jesus did that or not? Was in the mountain or was was just like these little things, if you think, don't really matter. And it's up to discussion. But there is one part that's not being able to be attacked. And this is the moral teachings. And this is the main goal of this gospel that we talk about every week or almost every week. The gospel that was decodified by Allan Kardec, the third book that he wrote. So the goal is to talk about the moral teachings. So talks about Jesus' life and the miracles, but the focus is the moral teachings, because this is what we should be doing. It's to put in practice what we are learning. And we hear this all the time, but it's so true. And I'll be talking about practicing and applying the knowledge through the whole presentation today, because this is so important and we should be always reminded of that. So everyone admires the gospel. Everyone thinks it's amazing. But how many of us, and we all understand the necessity of the gospel, but how many of us know the gospel in depth? And how many of us, not just knowing the words, but how many of us truly understand? And talking about myself, anytime I opened the Bible, for me, it was very hard to understand. Just the words that were used, it's hard. So to me, it was not really appealing to read the Bible, because it was just so just hard to go through. I'd be like always in the dictionary looking for the meaning of the words. And I was just like, I couldn't deal with that. And here we have a different experience with our gospel, with the gospel according to Spiritism. So some people, they will go through the Bible and they read the Bible, but sometimes it's just like to fulfill the duty. It's like, oh, I heard my priest saying I need to read the Bible, so I'm doing, but are you really reading and understanding and applying, or just reading to fulfill the duty? So that's the difference that we need to be aware of. So our gospel gathers passages that comprise a universal moral code, apart from sectarian distinctions. And what was preserved was the useful things for our development, for our moral growth. And what was irrelevant was eliminated. So in our gospel, you see it's the application. It's how we can apply the knowledge the whole time. And the maxims are in the gospel, but they are not organized in a chronological order. They are organized by the nature. So if it's talking about charity, will be in the chapter that talks about charity. And this charity is one that's all over the gospel because it's so important for us. But if it's humility, so the maxims that we talk about humility will be grouped together. So it's not in a chronological order because it wouldn't make any sense, right? What is important with time? If you're talking about somebody who lived more than 2,000 years ago, and if it was when he was 29 or 30 or 31, doesn't really matter, right? So time is irrelevant. So the maxims are classified by the nature. And the essential objective of our gospel is to put within reach of everyone by explaining the obscure passages and developing all their consequence with a view to applying, again, to practice them to various situations of our life. And this is so honest, because anytime you open the gospel, you're going to have a situation that you can put yourself there. It's not something like, far away from your reality. It's something that you have experienced, that you have seen. When talk about charity, for example, and then you're going to read and see, oh, charity can be just pretend you didn't hear some comment that somebody did in a malicious way. Maybe just pretend that you didn't hear, ignoring. That's an act of charity. So there are so many ways that we can be charitable. And the gospel really opened our eyes for this, how we can apply the knowledge. This work is for everyone's use. All may find in it the means to conform their conduct to the morals of Christ. So Jesus came to be our example, to be our source of where we can really understand what's love, what's charity, what's everything that's good and positive. So reading our gospel, we can really understand and try to be closer to Jesus, try to be more like him, and really walk on his steps. And the Spirit's teachings are truly voice from heaven that have come to enlighten humans and invite them to practice the gospel. And it's so true. When you read the Spirit's teachings, it's so enlightening. It's so, there's no confusion. It's so give you hope and give you just this good feeling that's like, okay, it's possible, I can do. And it's truly amazing. Next, we'll be talking about the authority of the Spiritism doctrine, universal test of the Spirit's teachings. So the Spirits manifested themselves everywhere without giving anyone the exclusive privilege of hearing their word. One person might be deceived, but that won't happen when millions see and hear the same thing. It's a guarantee for each and for all. And I'll be talking a little more about this in this slide here. So this slide about the communication between the mediums and the spirits. And you can imagine if we have 1 million having the listening from asking questions to different spirits, that would be the least secure way for having the communication. The way that we can all trust, or we should trust, which is the best way for the revelations, is a spontaneously revelation made through many mediums, unknown to each other and in several places. And this is exactly how Allan Kardec wrote the Spirit's book, the first book, based on asking the same question to different mediums, and they answering the same questions. That's what he wrote in the Spirit's book. So that's how we should trust the information, because was different spirits from different parts of the world answering the same question. So if we have one medium saying, talk to 5 different spirits, it's hard to trust, right? You don't know if that person really had the experience with 5 spirits. There is the geographic difference. There is the cultural thing that can influence the medium. But when you have many mediums going through and saying the same, answering the same questions, that is the way that we can trust the communication. Spiritism won't fear the ill will of the humans, moral revelations, nor the physical disturbance of the globe, because none of these things can affect the spirits. And this made me think, it's so true. Doesn't really matter. Of course, the spirits, they are concerned with us and they hope for our progress, but Spiritism will still the same. If we believe, if we don't believe, the spirits are there. So we can change that. The Spiritism won't change if humans believe or not believe in them. So it's amazing that Spiritism can't be affected by humans. And for basically anything, doesn't matter. The spirits are there and they will be there. So it's really touched me, that information, especially with how we are living nowadays, right? It's Afghanistan, it's the fire, it's everything, it's COVID, it's just so much, right? But the spirits are there and they will be there for us. An idea may be great, beautiful, or just. However, it's impossible for it to unite our opinions at the start. The conflicts that result from it are unavoidable. Consequence of the movement that's taking place. Conflicts are even necessary to enable the truth to stand out more. And when I read that, I was like, wow, it just gave me hope. Because again, we are living in this moment where everything is the duality. Everything is, I believe or I don't believe, COVID vaccine. You shouldn't take it. No, you shouldn't take it. Mask, you should wear. No, you shouldn't wear. You have your freedom. It's Black Lives Matter. No, it's All Lives Matter. Everything. It's recall the governor. No, don't recall. Everything we live is yes or no. It's the duality. But understanding that this is part of the movement, this is part of the process, to me, give me hope. It's just like, okay, I can understand it's part. It's okay. And it's how it is. So to me, at least, gave me for sure hope to read that and to understand that the conflicts are even necessary. So we hope not war, but conflicts, the knowledge, the information being passed and being agreed or disagreed. This is part. So, and the best part is about Socrates and Plato, who were the precursors of the Christian idea and Spiritism. And to me, it was very impressive to hear the sentence from Socrates and to just analyze how similar they are to Spiritism, to what we believe. So those who have the truth are, as their basis, always have the precursors who partially prepare the way for them. Such occurred with Christian idea, which was foreseen several centuries before Jesus, and of which Socrates and Plato were the main precursors. So Socrates, he died 400 years before Jesus, and just like Jesus, he didn't write anything. So the information that we have was based on Plato, one of his disciples. Just like Jesus had the disciples, Plato was his student, and all the writings that we have about Socrates were based on Plato and others, but here we'll be focusing Plato's writings. So I select some, I think we have like 21 sentences that were from Socrates and Plato, and I select, I think, 9, 10, and those are the ones that were more touching to me, and I feel very close to Spiritism. So to remind you, this was 400 years before Jesus. And those ideas were already here. So the human being is an incarnated soul. That's exactly what you think, right? The soul wanders and becomes confused when it uses the body in order to consider any object. And this, in the world that we live, that we have access to everything, and it's so easy to be more connected to the material than to our spiritual. It's so easy for us to disconnect, right? And connect to our phones. We have everything there, right? It's just so easy. We can buy things, we can talk to people, we can everything. We can do everything. But understand that this is connection to the material, to the body, to the physical, and most of the time, not to the spiritual. It's hard. How much are you dedicating to your spiritual progress? And how much you're dedicating to the material, to your physical, researching about, I don't know, a new car, a new house, a new hair product, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, how much time are you putting into those things? And how much time are you putting into progressing, into your improvement? So anytime we are putting more in the body, our spirit becomes confused. So while we have a body, and as long as our soul is immersed in this corruption, we will never possess the object of our desires, the truth. So it's hard to assume that we, again, are a lot more in the physical, a lot more in the things that don't really matter, and less in the spiritual, less in improving ourselves. So having the gospel and reading this and studying it and applying this can for sure put us in a different dimension and can really change our spiritual and looking for or finding the truth. Oh, come on. The impure souls wander around the graves where ghosts have been seen, which must be the images of souls who have left the body without being completely pure. And this is with a little different words, but it's what the Spiritism believes. So, of course, if you are, this is one of the scenes of Nosso Lar, and I'm sure most of you have seen, and if you're not, even though you might look like a good person, but you're not really working or moral transformation, you might be wondering when you passed, and that's a reality. So, of course, I don't call ghosts, but there are the lower spirits, and they are there, and they will be there. And it's up to us to decide what we are doing right now with the opportunity that we have today in our lives. The constant preoccupation of philosophers is to take care of the soul and less care of this life, which is only an instant from the perspective of eternity. If the soul is immortal, would it not be wise to live with a view to eternity? And this was so amazing. To just think, this person said this 2,600 years ago. It's like, wow, really? And we still, like, you know, not even close to truly living like that. And if you see, this is the picture of the drawing of Socrates' death. And he doesn't seem to be really concerned. He doesn't seem to be worried with death. As you can see, some of these disciples are not really so happy and they're kind of losing, but he seems to be fine. He seems to be, okay, yeah, I'm immortal. My soul will continue, my spirit will continue. And this is just one life through eternity. So I was really impressed with not just the image, but this sentence. the soul carries the trace of its character, sentiments, and the marks that each action of its life has left on it. And this, I put a picture of siblings, very cute siblings, to exemplify. I'm sure you have seen siblings that were raised by the same parents, in the same house, going to the same schools, pretty much the same environment. And the kids are so different from the beginning, from like day one. They are just so different. And when we have the lens of Spiritism, it's just clear. It makes so much sense, right? Because of course I had experience, like I have a sister, and that's a perfect example, because we are so different from each other, like opposites. And since day one, my mom thought she was like, I know how to do this. And then I came and I was like, oh, I guess I don't. So I was very different than my sister, and we still are. So we have the same environment, we have the same parents, we have the same house, but I had previous experience, previous lives that were different than hers. So I carry with me, with my spirit, those informations from previous lives. And she does the same. So of course, even though we are raised the same, we're gonna have different personalities, different characters. So makes so much sense if you use the Spiritism lens to understand the kid's personality. And to really understand, yeah, there is something else, because they have different experience through life or through other lives. One should never return injustice for injustice, nor do evil to anyone, whatever may be the evil they have done to us. And this is exact the same Christian idea, the same Spiritism idea. Jesus said that so many times, right? Don't return evil with evil. So Socrates was already saying this 400 years before Jesus was even born or was even on earth. The most beautiful prayers and the most beautiful sacrifice please the divinity less than a virtual soul. And I think I said something similar last time I was doing the talking, when I was doing the talking about prayer. And it's so true. We can pray as much as we can, and prayer is amazing, amazing. But just the prayer or just the sacrifice, it's nothing if you are not improving yourself, if you're not on the moral transformation path. It's not just the prayer, it's not just the sacrifice, it's really applying in your daily life with your brothers, with your sisters, with your relatives, with your family, and with those that you don't like. Those are the hardest ones, right? It's like, oh, you are so annoying. Doesn't matter. You need to put in practice. You need to start loving them. And you see, when you love them, things are going to change and they're going to treat you different. Or life, you'll be in charge to maybe change them to a different place. It's just amazing when we really love our neighbors and those who we don't really like. And the last but not least, if physicians fail in treating most ailments, it's because they treat the body without treating the soul. And since the whole is not in a good state, it's impossible for any part of it to be well. And we have in Eastern culture a different perspective on health and how to treat disease. If you talk about Ayurveda, for example, they do treat the health as a whole thing. And thankfully, we nowadays have always a holistic medicine here in the US as well, where we are not just thinking about the body. We are not just thinking about what is the disease. Oh, okay, let me give you a pill that you're going to treat the disease. We can start to think as the spirit. Okay, what, like Regina was saying last week, what are our thoughts, right? How can we improve our thoughts? How we can take care of our mind, how we can improve our spirit. And all of this will gonna affect our body. It's not just the body. The disease has something else behind, sometimes in previous lives, sometimes in this life, sometimes our thoughts in this life are the consequence is the disease. And sometimes it's for us to stop and analyze, what am I doing with my body? What am I doing with my spirit? What am I doing for myself? I'm living for others. I'm living for something else. So let's think in a whole, not just the body, not just it's not just one. It's all connected. And that is how we can truly be healthy, when we're taking care of everything and not just the body. And I'd like to ask you, why do you study the gospel? I know 95% of you study the gospel. So I would like to hear from you. And I will start saying that I studied the gospel. So I probably had the first contact with the gospel when I was like 16. And being 100% honest, I didn't like. I was like, no, not for me. And I just truly start to study the gospel when I started BSH. So like 2016, I read many Spiritist philosophies. So like Zipe Gasparetto, the Brazilian ones for sure know her. I was reading like all her books because I like romance. So they're more attractive to me in that age. And I still like the Spiritist romance. I think they are really entertaining, but the gospel has a different moment in my life. It's when I really can understand what I can do better. And sometimes I most of the time just opening a random page, and sometimes like weeks the same page, and I was like, oh, I know this. Like, can I go to next one? And so like after I read, it's like, oh, I guess I didn't practice this last week, right? When I had that problem. Yeah, I didn't really practice. So that's why I'm learning. I'm reading again and again and again to see like, okay, can you open your mind and can you really understand? So to me, it's amazing how we can truly, when you open your heart and you read the gospel, it's just like, wow, there is still so much to do. There is still so much to learn and so much, again, to practice. Because it's not just the learning, it's practicing. It's putting the application in your daily life with your family, with those who don't like. So to me, the gospel is a reference. What I should be doing now, today, with my family, and just gives me so much peace and hope. So to me, the gospel is really where I can find those words of console and hope and peace. So that's why I studied the gospel. How about you?
Sister, I think this is a really good and provoking question, because after everything that you said, I would feel very ashamed for not studying the gospel and saying that I am studying Spiritism, right? Um, and I also think that as you brought Jesus, as you taught us that Jesus is the rolling model, right? I mean, it's really hard for us to know what is the rolling model just by hearing it. We have to study, we have to understand the concepts. And this is why the gospel is so important to me, because it tells me what is the role model, as you were saying. And I think that what is also very interesting to see is that, so we say that we respect all religions and traditions, and I think that when we are young, that mostly our parents, I mean, the parents, they teach us about Jesus, but they kind of give you, at some point in life, you will have freedom for you to choose what type of religion makes more sense to you, right? And then when making that analysis, what I think that is interesting about the Spiritism is that it really brings to ourselves some part of the responsibility, whereas it's not on the church, or it's not only on the other side. And I feel like this is why the gospel is so important, but because this is the foundation for us to understand what is my part, what is the role that I have to play in my life, that I can, so then Jesus can support me with however they can. So I feel like this is kind of the guidance, like you are co-creator of your life with God, and here's how you should do that. So that's how I study the gospel.
Thank you, Kiki.
For me, it's kind of like meeting my inner child, because I grew up with Jesus, but it was taught very differently, just to add off what Kiki saying. And so I knew, however, sitting in a church really young, that there is something beyond. So when I read the gospel now, it's like a lot of the answers that I didn't know what they were, but they're like, oh, this is what it is. So it's, to me, that's my why I read the gospel. Other than that, it is beautiful, right? I think a lot of us might have the same here.
And for me, I really enjoyed seeing God in a different light. I grew up with that in the Baptist church, and God was like me, human, sitting on the throne, dictating. As my brother say, he's mean, and all he do is kill people. Dude, you really are in the Old Testament. You're gonna have to catch up to Jesus, And I love what Jesus is bringing, that love. And but I like the gospel because it explains those parables. Those parables had my head in a twist. So I'm sold right there. Thanks for the question. I love it.
Sometimes I read the parables. I'm sorry. I read the parables like, what? And then I keep it going. It's like, oh, wow, makes so much sense. That's so amazing. And it's just like the whole explanation is like, oh, that's so beautiful. And I just didn't get before. So yeah, I totally relate to that, Regina.
If I may.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Deborah. Great presentation. So very good. I wanted to pick back on a contribution that Sunshine gave us today by posting a reading of the chapter 20th of the Light Ahead book. On the very last paragraph, it says something like this: no one in good conscience can fully instill faith in the spirit of others, because in fact, this is a task that belongs to each individual. So when you understand that, you realize that it's not by reading, it's not by listening to a great preacher, it's not by listening to anybody magical that you're going to acquire that level of spirituality. It is individual task, it is individual process. So to study everything that is related to spiritual life, it's almost like not more than a duty, is an obligation that each one of us needs to take on. And that's why I like to study it, because it's very clear to me that I need to be my own instructor and creating my own path to reach the top. So that's why I like to study it. Thank you.
Yes, that was amazing, Jarvis. Yes.
Deborah, great question. For me, I'm going to play off of Nora's comment. I loved the analogy to being like a child. What was great before the pandemic were the sessions in the center. What is great about Zoom is the continuity of group learning. It's like being in a classroom, more so here than in the center. This is purely an educational focus. So it's so motivational personally to be on the receiving end of brand new knowledge. And to realize that we're all going from hearing it, to learning it, to understanding it, and to putting it into practice. And we're all in that process right now. And to hear Deborah's presentation for me, and to end with this question, it's continuity. Here's all this brand new information on Plato and Socrates in alignment with everything that is in Spiritism. Motivates me even more. to want to understand deeper and put into practice deeper the Spiritist principles, or better stated, the principles for living, no matter what the source is.
Mhm.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, it's a great question. I know for myself, I was thinking, and I love the answers everyone gave. And it's probably changed for me throughout as I've studied, but I'm really intrigued with knowing myself more. And I find it amazing that I continue still to discover who I am, so to speak, as this journey unfolds. And any study, I appreciate them all, but I really appreciate the concepts that the gospel tackles. And it's for me looking to progress, and through my mind, body, spirit, my health, I'm trying to put all these pieces together. This is such an important part of the moral evolution for each one of us. And I discover as I continue to do this, it's just the honor. And because I like challenges in life too. I've always been one that's been, when I've worked out, I've liked to push myself hard in the challenge. And this has been the greatest challenge of them all to me, is to really take this in and to change myself. I find how difficult it is to change oneself truly, and to not fall off the path, and to continue, and to truly struggle with being honest with yourself and apply these principles that so many people have sacrificed to bring to us. It's a real honor to be part of the process.
And Robbie, falling out of the path, it's part of life, right? We, one day or the other, we're gonna fall, but it's returning. What matters is the return. So even if you fall, it's okay. It's okay. You just need to return. So I think that's what matters.
I have a comment. This is a wonderful presentation, and it helps get the wheels turning of being more responsible. Know thyself. Every night I grab the gospel and open it someplace, and inevitably there's something there that makes me become more responsible about the way I'm handling what's currently happening in my life. And many times it's helpful to go back to the prayer section in the book in the back and read some of the prayers and some of the explanations of the prayers to be more grateful and appreciative of this great opportunity we're enjoying. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I agree. It's for sure. The prayers are so amazing. I did open this week, and was just like, wow, okay. It's just, I don't know, inspiring. So I agree with you.
Excuse me, Deborah. I need to ask for clarification. In one of your initial slides, I believe that you said something about the spirits don't care much about the influence of what happens in the material world. Could you expand a little bit on that?
So let me get here.
Yeah, I'm not sure which slide it was. It was in the very beginning.
I know it's one of the fire. Let me go back there.
Yeah, that's right, the fire.
Yeah. Yeah, so the idea is, doesn't matter if we human beings believe in spirits or don't believe in spirits, doesn't matter how is our physical circumstance right now. The spirits are there. The discarnates are there. The spirits, the higher spirits are here, and they are helping us. Even if you believe, if you don't believe, they'll be helping us. Doesn't matter how it is the position of the human beings right now. The spirits are there. So Spiritism is not going to suffer from this. So maybe we don't have any human beings who believe in Spiritism, but it doesn't matter, because the Spiritism is made by the spirits. So it's not based on humans believing or not. It's about the spirits. So to me, that's how that sentence goes.
Oh, okay. I understand your perspective now, because I'm concerned about I don't want to say that the spirits don't care about what happened to us in the material world, in a sense that I think the learning process is mutual and it continues to go on. Our negative experiences here, let's say the fires, okay, it's something that would not impact the spiritual realm per se, because there's not matter there. However, in terms of intellectuality, in terms of spiritual understanding, it's a very interesting learning experience for everybody, because I'm sure that the spirits are witnessing everything that's happening, and they are concerned about, okay, how is these humans or these spirits that are incarnated creating this situation? I think it's part of the learning process as well. So we continue to learn no matter where you are, and that's what I was thinking. But I appreciate your perspective as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like it's more, they are concerned with us, of course, especially like our spiritual mentors. Of course, they want our best and they want our improvement. But Spiritism will still be something because it's based on the spirits and not the humans. So I feel that's more the perspective in this sentence.
Deborah, would it be true to say that, and the text actually says it, the key word being fear? Spirits don't fear. It matters, as you said, it matters not about human beliefs. However, would it be fair to say that the mission that is currently being carried out by the spirits can be accelerated through human cooperation?
Yes, I think so. Yes, I agree with you. Mm-hmm.
And I think that if we think about all the primitive worlds where we have no conscience about spirituality, as well as in more evolved worlds that you do have more spiritual conscience, all of them are supported by the spiritual, but by the spirituality, regardless of the conscience. So what you said, Mark, I think also makes sense to me, because if you do have conscience, if you work towards the good, we will be supporting their spirituality. Therefore, that world, that environment where we are in is going to be more likely to be happier than what it is not in other places, because there is no spiritual awakening. So I think that this part of they don't care is more about, like, regardless of where you are in your conscience, regardless if you are supporting or not, you are being supported.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I understand.
Right. And I also think, first of all, thank you so much, Deborah. Really enjoyed your talk. Lovely. And I think it's also important when we speak of spirits that we distinguish between the many categories of spirits, right? So, of course, the more evolved spirits, they're supporting us from the other side on all these different levels. And when we read the book On the Way to the Planet of Regeneration, we see how much they're working day in and day out. But we also see how the less evolved spirits are very much working together with all of us on the demise of trying to pull this planet, keeping it stagnant or even pulling it further down into the darkness. So there is different categories, there's different kind of work. And of course, where does our responsibility lie? And that brings us back to the gospel. And that is to stay connected to God, to pull out the gospel maybe daily and to read a section, to reflect on it. And not only that, to get together in groups. And you guys all said this already, to study, to encourage ourselves and to practice the good, because by the law of affinity, we attract what we emit, where our thoughts and our feelings dwell. And in order to help the planet on its path to regeneration, it is our duty to stay connected to the light, because there's still enough of unconscious aspects in all of our beings where the dark forces are pulling on us and trying to get us to their side 100% and keep planet Earth in the dark. Thank you.
I believe that I read somewhere, I think one of those introductions of a book, I think it was a Spirit's book, where Allan Kardec really is clear to explain the importance of spirit and matter. He said that all the matter that is in the universe is for the purpose of improving spirit, and vice versa. All the spirit is to spiritualize matter. So we need each other. So that exchange is continuous, and that's part of the learning process. Because as we understand, every molecule that we have in our physical body has the potential to one day become a spirit. So that's part of the evolutionary process, which we are a result of, right? So I think it's a mutual exchange, and that's the benefit of us to understand what goes on in matter and what goes on in spirit, because we influence each other all along.
Yes, absolutely. And I wanted to also refer to Kiki's comment in the chat box. Regardless of spiritual conscience, we'll always have spiritual support. And again, yes, the spiritual support from spirits on high, but also the spiritual support from spirits on low. And so that is really, and again, this new book by through Divaldo Franco really shows us more of what's going on behind the scenes and how vigilant we have to be. And thanks to the gospel and bringing it back to us, Deborah, I think we have a good tool, a very good tool.
Yes, we do. We just need to use it. And I know you do. But it's a reminder to myself, to motivate myself to keep studying, how you said, daily, even if it's a little chapter, it's just like, but keep doing, keep working, keep studying. And that's how we improve ourselves. So to me was also a great reminder. So thank you.
All right, friends, any more comments, any questions? Anyone willing to share why do you study the gospel?
Thank you, Deborah. It's been a great class, like Mark said. This is the school. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, I think I stop sharing here.
Beautiful.
So it's easier to see everyone.
All right, dear friends. So thank you very, very much. That was beautiful, inspiring, and I feel like we will all run after our gospels as soon as we finish this meeting.
Including me.
All of us. All right, so let's take 2 minutes break and then we'll resume for the second part. It's 11:07, so 11:09. Very precise. Don't forget to grab your bottle of water and write down the names of those who you wish to bring for vibration. Also, don't forget that tomorrow the mediums will keep working. I mean, not only us, of course, it's all, it's a teamwork with the high spirituality. But feel free to put on the chat box or send us on WhatsApp, whoever you want to bring for vibration.